Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. This is Michael Vass with MV Consulting. Just want to take a moment to speak with Mayor Matt Ryan just before he has to go. And we thank him for giving us this time after speaking with the City Council. Mayor Ryan, as we were discussing before, I have been working on a rather comprehensive view of gun control laws and the situation in the nation at this time, and also in the past. We'd like to ask you a couple questions about that. The first one is, how do you feel about that?
About
Gun control? Yes.
Well, I see more of a gun safety issue. I mean, nobody's trying to take away people who legitimately use their weapons for hunting or protecting themselves. What we're trying to prevent is, I've been part of the mayor's coalition, Mayors Against Illegal Guns, for quite a while now, and that's what we're trying to do, is keep illegal guns off the street, and we think that will reduce violence quite a bit. It won't make everything perfect, but it will reduce violence.
Okay. The Mayors Against Illegal Guns. It's an initiative, 900 mayors across the country. Mayor Bloomberg is one of the members in there. I know you were just speaking about that to the City Council. Is there anything you can tell us about that from your experience with it?
Well, I think it's been a very, unfortunately, only time it really seems to gain traction is when we have something like Sandy Hook happen. But I think because of the nature of who the victims were at Sandy Hook, it's finally galvanized the nation and galvanized all the mayors who have been supporting all along, and all those people who know we should have sensible gun laws, to really say we're not going to take this anymore. We're going to make sure that we follow through this time. And I think the will is there, despite the tremendous power of the NRA and their lobbying power. I think the will is there to finally pass sensible gun laws.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the NRA,
Right.
and they're a very strong lobby, and there are many people in America very strong, to the extreme in some cases,
Right.
on the Second Amendment. Some of those, in looking over the website for the Mayors Against Illegal Guns, there is the argument that would be said. If everything was passed, would that stop an event, say, like the Binghamton shootings, which I know you personally did everything you could about, and we spoke about it at that time,
Right.
or the San Antonio shootings, or 80% of other firearms shootings?
Well, I do believe that, the big thing here is that, yes, some of these people have gotten their guns legally, but one of the provisions is, do they need such big magazine clips? Intervening in there's been some very heroic people who without guns have prevented more carnage by, going after a perpetrator. If a perpetrator has to reload and doesn't have more than 7 bullets in a magazine, there's opportunity to, make your heroic activities mean something. So that's one issue. I think it's well over 60% of NRA members want to see magazine sizes controlled. They want to see assault weapons banned. They know that these don't have any place in our society. We have way too many guns and way too much ammunition in our society, and the only way to, I think, to start to put a dent in gun violence and when you have more guns, so many guns in society, I would argue that it's easier for people to get them illegally. The more guns you have, the more they're free to be sold. So if you restrict the number of guns, restrict the number by closing down the loopholes at gun shows. I think every year like 6.6 million guns are sold by private sellers outside the normal channels of buying a gun, and a lot of times no background checks are done, or not adequate background checks are done. I just heard, I didn't catch the woman's name, but she's from Australia. She was a politician in Australia, and they explained they have the original penal colony.
Yeah.
28-day waiting list to get a gun, where they do very extensive background checks. Don't you think that would have a big impact on preventing people who might have handguns or get handguns or any kinds of guns illegally and use them for illegal purposes? Many of, I don't buy that this is only an argument about assault weapons and stuff. I mean, many of our young people in Chicago and our inner cities, every day there's murders in Chicago and New York City and Los Angeles and with regular handguns by people who shouldn't have them. So that's where background checks come in. So I think the group of things that Mayors Against Illegal Guns have come up with, the three main asks, which is require criminal background checks for all gun sales, ban military-style assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, and make gun trafficking a federal crime. Those are all designed to curb illegal people who shouldn't have guns getting them. Background checks include checking into whether somebody has a psychological history that would give us pause to have that person walking around with a gun.
Oh, yeah.
And as you know, many of these instances have to do with, part of this is also making mental health services better available to people. It's not just about guns. It's about but it is a lot of, I believe, the more, if you have a nation with 270 million guns floating around in society, it's much easier to get a hold of one. It's much easier for an ill person who shouldn't have one to get a hold of one. And if we're not saying, if you legally can show that you should have a gun and you're not a danger to society, but that's where I think there could be a lot of progress made in keeping guns away from people who do horrific crimes with them. I mean, right now our police officers are often out weaponed. If there's a lot of people in society have weapons that are, surpass what our police normally work with every day.
True enough.
Right.
Well, there's a lot of passion behind what you're saying, a lot of logic. And I thank you for taking a moment to share this with us, to address some of the concerns that people on both sides have on this. And I think the debate is healthy. And hopefully we can really take this and not have to have another Sandy Hook to really have a conversation and do something.
I think that's all our hopes. And, we're not asking for gun control. We're asking for sensible gun policies. And I think all the things that the mayors are proposing are sensible and doable.